Several books can aid in electrical estimating. Firstly, The Electrical Estimating Manual by Nick Gromyko. Secondly, Residential Electrical Cost Analysis by R.S. Means. Thirdly, The Electrical Estimator's Complete Guide by Michael Chudzik. Fourthly, Estimating Electrical Construction by Jeffrey S. Dix. Fifthly, Electrical Estimating, a Step-by-Step Guide by Don Stansbury. Software options include Qubit Electrical Estimating, Bluebeam Review, Electrical Tool Pro, Estimate, and PlanSwift. Further resources can be found at Electrical Contractor Magazine's Project Estimating Online. The National Electrical Estimators Association, or NECA, provides industry standards and training. The National Association of Electrical Distributors, or NEED, provides resources on materials costs and distribution. For new estimators, understanding the scope of work is essential. Read project plans and specifications carefully to identify all required materials and labor. Break down the project by dividing it into smaller subtasks to simplify estimating. For materials, determine the quantities and unit costs of all materials needed. Use material estimating software or vendor data. To estimate labor, calculate the number of labor hours required for each subtask. Use industry data or your own historical costs. Add overhead and profit by including a percentage for overhead costs such as insurance, equipment, and office expenses, and add the profit margin. Review and adjust the estimate thoroughly for errors and make any necessary adjustments based on market conditions or project-specific factors. If needed, consult with an experienced electrical estimator or contractor for guidance. Breaking down a project into smaller tasks allows for more accurate assessments of both material and labor requirements. Begin by carefully reviewing the project plans, specifications, and any addenda to fully grasp the project's scope. This includes identifying the types of electrical systems involved, such as lighting, power distribution, fire alarm, or data communication systems. Pay close attention to the details of each system, noting the types and quantities of devices, the wiring methods required, and any special installation requirement. With a clear understanding of the project scope, the next step is to create a detailed breakdown of the work. This involves dividing the project into smaller, more manageable tasks. For example, a residential project might be broken down into tasks such as service entrance installation, branch circuit wiring, lighting fixture installation, receptacle installation, and panel board installation. Each of these tasks can be further subdivided into smaller steps such as running conduit, pulling wire, making connections, and testing. By breaking down the project in this way, it becomes easier to estimate the material and labor required for each task. It also allows for more accurate tracking of costs as the project progresses. When estimating materials, a bill of materials should be created for each task, listing all the items required, such as wire, conduit, fittings, boxes, devices, and hardware. The quantities of each item should be carefully calculated based on the project plans and specifications. It's important to account for waste and breakage when determining material quantities. Once the material quantities have been determined, the unit costs of each item should be obtained from suppliers or online resources. Be sure to factor in any discounts or shipping costs when determining the total cost of materials. Estimating labor involves calculating the number of labor hours required for each task. This can be done by using industry standards, historical data, or by consulting with experienced electricians. When estimating labor, it's important to consider factors such as the complexity of the task, the skill level of the electrician, and the working conditions. Industry standards provide average labor hours for various electrical tasks based on historical data from similar projects. These standards can be a useful starting point for estimating labor, but they should be adjusted to reflect the specific conditions of the project. Historical data from past projects can also be used to estimate labor. This involves tracking the actual labor hours required for similar tasks on previous projects. By analyzing this data, it's possible to develop a more accurate estimate of the labor required for the current project. Consulting with experienced electricians can provide valuable insights into the labor required for various tasks. Experienced electricians can offer advice on the best way to perform a task, the potential challenges that may be encountered, and the amount of time it will take to complete the task. In addition to direct labor costs, it's also important to factor in indirect labor costs, such as payroll taxes, insurance, and benefits. These costs can add a significant amount to the total labor cost of a project. Once the material and labor costs have been estimated, it's necessary to add overhead and profit to arrive at the final bid price. Overhead costs include all the indirect costs of running a business, such as rent, utilities, insurance, and office expenses. These costs are typically allocated to projects as a percentage of direct costs. Profit is the amount of money that the business wants to earn on the project. This is typically expressed as a percentage of the total project costs. When determining the overhead and profit percentages, it's important to consider the risks involved in the project, the level of competition, and the desired profit margin. It's also important to review the estimate carefully before submitting the bid. This includes checking for errors in calculations, verifying material quantities, and ensuring that all costs have been accounted for. It's also a good idea to get a second opinion from another estimator or experienced electrician. Electrical estimating involves calculating the costs associated with installing electrical systems in a building or structure. It encompasses various components including material costs, labor expenses, overhead, and profit margin. The goal is to create an accurate and competitive bid that ensures profitability while meeting the client's needs. Material costs refer to the expenses incurred in purchasing all electrical components necessary for the project. This includes items such as wiring, conduit, electrical boxes, lighting fixtures, switches, outlets, circuit breakers, panels, and other related hardware. Accurate estimation of material costs is crucial for several reasons. Firstly, it directly impacts the overall project cost. Overestimating material expenses can lead to uncompetitive bids, potentially losing the project to other contractors. Underestimating material costs can erode profit margins, leading to financial losses. Secondly, precise material estimation helps in efficient procurement and inventory management. Knowing the exact quantities of materials needed allows for timely ordering and delivery, minimizing delays and storage costs. Thirdly, accurate material estimation enables better cost control throughout the project. By tracking actual material usage against the estimated quantities, contractors can identify potential cost overruns and take corrective actions. To estimate material costs effectively, several steps need to be followed. First, thoroughly review the project plans and specifications. This involves carefully examining the drawings, diagrams, and written instructions to identify all electrical components required for the project. Pay close attention to details such as the type and size of wiring, the number and location of outlets and switches, and the specifications for lighting fixtures. Second, create a detailed bill of materials. This is a comprehensive list of all electrical components needed for the project, including the quantity, description, and unit price of each item. The bill of materials serves as a checklist for procurement and cost tracking. Third, obtain pricing from suppliers. Contact multiple electrical suppliers to obtain competitive price quotes for the materials listed in the bill of materials. Consider factors such as quantity discounts, delivery charges, and payment terms when evaluating the quotes. Fourth, factor in waste and contingencies. Account for material waste that may occur during installation due to cutting, damage, or errors. Also, include a contingency allowance to cover unexpected material costs or changes in project scope. Labor expenses refer to the costs associated with employing electricians and other workers to install the electrical systems. Accurate estimation of labor expenses is vital for project profitability. Underestimating labor costs can significantly reduce profit margins, while overestimating can lead to uncompetitive bids. Labor cost estimation involves considering several factors. Firstly, estimate the number of labor hours required for each task. This involves breaking down the project into smaller, manageable tasks and estimating the time required to complete each task. Use industry standards, historical data, and expert judgment to determine the labor hours. Secondly, determine the hourly labor rate. This includes the base wage rate, payroll taxes, insurance, and benefits. Consider factors such as the skill level of the electricians, local labor market conditions, and union agreements when determining the hourly labor rate. Thirdly, factor in labor productivity. Account for factors that may affect labor productivity, such as the complexity of the project, the working conditions, and the experience of the electricians. Adjust the labor hours accordingly to reflect these factors. Fourthly, include labor overhead. This includes indirect labor costs such as supervision, training, and administrative expenses. Allocate these costs to the project based on a percentage of direct labor costs. Overhead costs encompass all indirect expenses associated with running the electrical contracting business. These costs are not directly attributable to a specific project but are necessary for the overall operation of the business. Common overhead costs include rent, utilities, insurance, office supplies, vehicle expenses, and administrative salaries. Accurate allocation of overhead costs is essential for determining the true cost of a project and ensuring profitability. Several methods can be used to allocate overhead costs, including percentage of direct costs per labor hour and activity-based costing. The choice of method depends on the size and complexity of the business. Profit margin is the percentage of revenue that remains after deducting all costs, including material, labor, and overhead. The profit margin represents the return on investment for the electrical contracting business. Setting an appropriate profit margin is crucial for ensuring the long-term financial health of the business. Factors to consider when setting the profit margin include the level of risk associated with the project, the competitive landscape, and the desired return on investment. Estimating software can greatly assist in the electrical estimating process. These software programs automate many of the tasks involved in estimating, such as material takeoff, labor calculation, and cost tracking. Estimating software can also help to improve accuracy, reduce errors, and increase efficiency. Popular electrical estimating software programs include Cupid, Bluebeam Review, and PlanSwift. These programs offer features such as electronic takeoff, database management, and reporting capabilities. Electronic takeoff allows estimators to measure distances and count items directly from digital plans, eliminating the need for manual measurements. Database management enables estimators to store and organize material prices, labor rates, and other cost data. Reporting capabilities allow estimators to generate detailed cost reports, bid proposals, and other project documents. Additional resources that can be helpful for electrical estimating include industry associations, online databases, and training programs. The National Electrical Contractors Association, or NECA, provides industry standards, training programs, and networking opportunities for electrical contractors. Online databases, such as RSMeans, provide cost data for materials and labor. Training programs, such as those offered by NECA and other organizations, can help estimators to improve their skills and knowledge. When starting out in electrical estimating, it is helpful to seek advice from experienced estimators and contractors. They can provide valuable insights into the estimating process and offer guidance on how to avoid common mistakes. It is also important to stay up to date on industry trends and best practices. This can be done by attending industry events, reading trade publications, and participating in online forums. Electrical estimating requires a combination of technical knowledge, analytical skills, and attention to detail. By following these guidelines and utilizing available resources, estimators can improve their accuracy, efficiency, and profitability. The process begins with a thorough review of the project documentation, including architectural drawings, electrical plans, and specifications. This step is crucial for understanding the scope of work, identifying the types of electrical systems involved, and determining the specific requirements of the project. The next step is to perform a detailed material takeoff, which involves identifying and quantifying all the electrical materials needed for the project. This includes items such as wiring, conduit, electrical boxes, lighting fixtures, switches, outlets, circuit breakers, and panels. Accurate material takeoff is essential for ensuring that the project is properly supplied and that costs are accurately estimated. Once the material takeoff is complete, the next step is to estimate the labor hours required to install the electrical systems. This involves considering factors such as the complexity of the installation, the skill level of the electricians, and the working conditions at the job site. Industry standards, historical data, and expert judgment can be used to estimate labor hours accurately. After estimating material and labor costs, the next step is to add overhead and profit to arrive at the final bid price. Overhead costs include all the indirect costs of running the electrical contracting business, such as rent, utilities, insurance, and administrative expenses. Profit represents the desired return on investment for the project. Final step in the electrical estimating process is to review and adjust the estimate as needed. This involves checking for errors, verifying assumptions, and considering any potential risks or uncertainties. It may also be necessary to adjust the estimate based on market conditions or the client's budget. Effective communication with the client is essential throughout the electrical estimating process. This includes clarifying any questions or concerns, providing regular updates on the estimate's progress, and explaining the basis for the final bid price. Building a strong relationship with the client can increase the chances of winning the project and ensuring a successful outcome. Electrical estimating is a complex and challenging process that requires a high level of skill and expertise. By following these guidelines and continuously improving their knowledge and skills, estimators can play a vital role in the success of electrical contracting businesses.